Hamoud Salhi is a professor of political science at California State University. I did ask him about the impact the fighting will have on the 3 million people who live in Idlib.
Of course, the humanitarian crisis is very serious. We are looking at major problems of refugees, particularly on the side of Turkey. We're looking at health issues and all what comes with the war. So this is a serious business. But we should also consider the players, the juggling, the idea that each of the parties involved, this is the United States, Iran, Russia, Syria, of course, and on the background you have the Israelis. This is all about the future of this country's position in Syria, and each party is sort of showing its card that this what appears to be the end or somewhat a full control of the Syria by the Assad regime has to be in line with their interests. So the humanitarian issue is very serious, but we should not ignore that the players are also playing it to serve their own national interests.
Let's talk about the players for a moment. You know, Ankara has been unsuccessful, from what we gather, at getting Russia and Iran to maintain the ceasefire. What's at stake for Turkey in all of this?
Well, two things for Turkey. One is the refugees issue. I mean, the Turkish are very sort of worried about the spillover. But the second issue has to do with the Kurdish whole issue. And the Turks have been very strong in opposing any idea that would give some sense of autonomy to the Kurds in Syria. So they want to preempt that from happening, since, and particularly their fear is linked to that effect that it might have on the Kurdish population in Turkey. So those are two reasons for them. The third reason is strategic. As we know, Turkey has had sort of a certain kind of borders guarantees with Syrian, and the agreements that they had in the past provided corridors, provided some kind of space, and even the right of pursuit to enter into the Syrian territory and go after the Kurdish. They too, this time around, they also want to guarantee that. So there is a lot at stake for the Kurdish. It involves their national interest very much, and what they perceive as threats to Turkish national territory and sovereignty.
No, I found it interesting in Michal Bardavid's report, I hope you got to hear it, that Turkey is making the point that these refugees aren't just going to come through our country. This is a threat to Europe. So it seems like they might be trying to get more Western powers involved in the conflict. What are your thoughts on that?
Of course, and we remember the last European meetings, community meeting, sort of was able to address the issue, but they come up only with vague decisions, namely that other European countries who are not bordering with like Turkey, for example, who are not affected directly by these refugees, would get help from other countries. There was some sort of the discussion at the time what the EU came with, is that there will be a European solution. And I think they're playing that card very well at this point. It's a legitimate concern, and it is a serious concern, and it's not just a Turkish problem at this point. It is a European problem, and more than anything else, United Nations has the obligation to see to it that some kind of guarantees, security guarantees, and just being human addressing this issue is essential for them too.